In this video, I'm going to go over an example of solving multi-step equations with variables on one side. On your screen, you should see on the right-hand side, I have the steps listed out that we're going to follow. And then on the left-hand side is the example that we're going to complete. So the first step says draw a vertical line through our equal sign. So we're going to do that as usual. And then I will mark that step off. Then step 2 says distribute and then combine like terms. So if we remember, distribution means that we have parentheses with a number in front that we have to multiply and distribute out to the terms inside. We don't have any parentheses, so that tells me right away I don't need to do that. But then I also need to look if I can combine like terms. And in this case, I do have several like terms, meaning they have the same variable or the terms do not have variables. So 5p, positive 3p, and negative p are all like terms, and I have to keep the sign in front. The one thing I want to point out is negative p, I can put a 1 directly in front of that. And then my negative 1 is going to just drop down on the left. 5p plus 3p gives me 8p, minus 1p will give me 7p. And then my negative 22, I have to bring that down. Step 3 says if there's variables on both sides of the equal sign, then we have to use inverse operations to move them. Since we're only completing questions that are variables on one side right now, I don't need that step just yet. So then I go to step 4. If you notice, I have a two-step equation. So starting with my variable, I am going to read it and then work backwards using inverse operations. So I would read this as p times 7 minus 22. So then working backwards using inverse operations, I'm going to solve it. So my last operation was minus 22. So the opposite of subtraction is addition. And whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other. Negative 1 plus 22 leaves me with 21. Negative 22 plus 22 equals 0. So I cross that out. And then my 7p drops down. I can then cross out that step. I also can cross out step 4 over on the right because I've read it. Then the next step, instead of times 7, I need to do the inverse, which would be divided by 7 on both sides. 21 divided by 7 leaves me with 3. 7 divided by 7 is 1, which I could cross out, and then I'll show the last step. Then remember, because of the invisible 1 rule, that 1p is the same thing as p. So my answer is 3 equals p. And then that shows that I've completed the steps. Remember that you could then take this value 3, substitute it back into the original equation, and make sure that both sides are equal.